डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन युनिव्हर्सिटी.
Hello friends, my name is Dr. Alpava Rajput, welcoming you all in a Chaitanya studio of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Today we are going to discuss about this BCA 302 subject, Programming Principles and Algorithm. In earlier session we have discussed various control structure statements as well as looping statements, how they will be used to execute the specific line of code that we already have seen. Then we have seen the various functions implemented in a C and a C++ to complete the specific task. We have seen there are various kind of function on basis of the argument passing and the return type that returned by the function. In today's session we are going to precisely define about the problem solving, what are the steps of problem solving and various techniques of the problem solving. So, let me start with the problem solving definition. Problem solving, the purpose of that is just to find the solution of a specific problem, but how the technical definition we can provide for the problem solving is a problem solving is creative and interesting process. It includes the various creative steps to follow to get the solution, in which the problem is defined. Here we are defining the problem, and the purpose of defining the problem is where the cause behind the problem, the identification of the basic problems, prioritization along with the selection of the solution steps is done for implementing a specific solution. Now, for understanding the problem, any solver have need to ask certain questions to themselves and they have need to give the answer of that question to get the solution. Okay. So, here the number of questions that the solver have need to ask their selves is what is known about the problem, whatever the basic idea they have related with the problem that they have need to precisely defined, what information to be processed to get the result. Here we already know what kind of solution we required, but we will focus on the basic procedure that we required to get the specific result. What will be the shape of the solution? At the final solution, whatever we will get, what will be the shape of that solution? What will be the finalized solution on basis of the given input that we should ask to ourselves. So, we can define the solution. What are the special cases that will appear? Before we are proceeding for the anything, we always have to care about the special cases that can be arised. For example, like we are going to dividing some value with some other values, right. So, in that case is that we know that if the value is divided by the 0, that is an error. So, we have need to always consider this kind of special cases whenever we are going to process with some input to get the specific output. Okay. So, here we are in a mind we are defining certain special cases that can be appeared during the procedure of a problem solving, and the final wise we have need to ask ourselves that what are the ways to judge a solution, the various ways to judge a solution on basis of the given input. There are for the problem solving there are many strategies available. Among them we are having a divide and conquer. In basically what we are doing in a divide and conquer, we are dividing the a bigger problem into the smaller problem, and individually we are solving the each specific problem. So, in this way we are giving the solution of a whole problem by giving the small solution of each problem. Okay. Then we are having the greedy method, which is basically an optimization method, where we are trying to find some optimum solution for getting the final solution. Here everything is based on our experience. Here on basis of our experience we are trying to find the solution, a optimum solution. and on basis of that optimum solution we are trying to find the finalized, or we can say a global solution. A dynamic programming. In a dynamic programming, what we are doing, we are precisely defining the specific problem into the smaller module, and we are completing each module, and we are saving the solution for our future use. So, whenever we required to reference that solution again, we are storing that already past node, past problems. Whatever the solution we get, we are storing it in a memory. So, in afterwards, if we require to reference it, we can reference. So, basically here we are in a dynamic programming, the purpose is to getting the just solving the problem and storing whatever the solution we get into that smaller problem. Okay. A backtracking, as the name suggests, here what we are doing, we are just selecting the specific route, we are dividing the basic problems into the multiple solution we are having, we are selecting the specific way to solve the problem. If any cases we find that specific solution is not a good for us, then we are going for the backtrack to the earlier steps, and we can start for the next new solution. Branch and bound, as the name suggests, here we are dividing the overall problems into the small multiple solution whatever we have. We are bounding the problem with a specific solution from the multiple solution, and we are just optimizing whether it is a final solution or not. If not, then we are going to again dividing that specific problem into the small problems, and we are trying to solve it. In this way, we are making the branches of the specific problem, we are solving the each branch, we are getting whether it is a final solution. If not, then we are going for the further branching. Okay. The basic steps in any problem solving is, we are understanding the problem, we are making a plan for the solution, we are carrying out the plan, and finally we are looking back to just verify that whatever the solution we got is a final solution, and we got within a very low cost and a memory. Okay. So, let us see the each step one by one. Define the problem. For defining, as we have seen that whenever we are starting any problem solving, we are just focusing first of all on defining the problem in a precise manner. So, we can find a solution in a better way, right. So, here in the defining the problem, what we are doing, we are defining the system. Here we are identification of a system by understanding the information given in the problem by drawing a diagram. Here we are drawing a diagram of a problem to precisely define our system. Known and concepts. In this highlight the facts known about the problem and find the knowledge to solve them. Here what we are doing, we are highlighting all the facts known about the specific problem. At the starting stage we have seen, we are asking ourselves the question that what can be the possible solution. So, here whatever the known fact knows about the solution, about the problem that we are highlighting and the problem, and find the knowledge to solve that specific set of problem. Unknown. Here we are highlighting the known fact, we are also highlighting the known. Now, you have to see for the unknown fact, which for what you do not have any knowledge related with that specific problem. So, units and symbols. To solve the problem, students should know how to select, interpret and apply the units and the symbols for a specific problem solving. And finally, we are succeeding by identifying the logical type of answer. Okay. So, in this way we are defining the problem. After defining the problem, we are making out a plan to solve a specific problem. After the identification of problem, now we knows all the facts and unknown facts related with the problem. We have precisely defined that all the things. We now go for making a plan to solve the specific problem. In that we will identify the particular knowledge related with the specific problem. Here we are identifying the background knowledge of the problem from various illustrations, various examples and a problem covered in a respective course. If we are going to solve any specific problem, any background knowledge related with the same kind of problem if we have, we are just going to refer that problems, and on basis of that we are trying to compare with this specific problem and will try to solve it in that manner that it was earlier solved. Collect the information related with the problem. Here some information such as convergence factors, constants and tables, what is required in order to solve the problem needs to be collected and examined. So, whatever the data which are required to solve the problem, that will be collected by the problem solver. Then we will make the plan to a solution. A possibility of strategies to plan a solution is compute or simplify the problem, equation by making some equations, creating the models by defining the diagram, using a table or a charts. Planning the solution, we are selecting the good strategy which will be used to get the better solution. Okay. So, you have to plan for the effective strategy so as to solve your problem effectively. We have seen the various strategies for the problem solving. Among that we have need to define which specific strategy will be better for our problem. So, a good strategy will always give you a good solution. And finally, the last step is we are carry out the plan. Now, we will implement whatever the plan we have discussed on basis of all the known and unknown fact by using the various strategies of a plan making and using the specific strategy of a method we will finally carry out our plan. So, here maintain the patience to solve the problem. Several problems sometimes are not solved in less time or in a single try. So, we should have the patience to solve the problem with the various ways, and it may consume some more time also. Remain the constants. If you not receive the answer quickly and then try to solve the question by using the different strategy. So, you have need to you use the specific strategy. Stress on following question. We have need to refer some question like, is the answer make sense? Whatever by selecting the specific strategy, whatever the answer we are getting, is that making any sense to the solution? Will the answer fit the criteria mentioned in initial step? Whenever we are defining the plan, at that time whatever the criteria we have made, whether that answer fits to that specific criteria. If the starting is not good, the answer will whatever we will get will not be our final solution. So, we have need to always compare our answer with the actual strategies. Okay. What did I learn from the solving this question, and is there any other way to solve such kind of question? So, these are the questions that we are asking to ourselves when we are looking back to verify the steps whatever we have passed through to solve any specific strategy. Okay. So, this is the final steps, just we are verifying whatever the solution या answer we are getting is the feasible as per our solution or not. Okay. So, problem solving involves doing something in obtaining a solution which is related to confusing, a difficult, inconvenient or disturbed questions. At the startup, we do not know anything about the problems. We are precisely defining the problems, we are including the known and the unknown facts into our system, and we are trying on basis of that facts from that models by selecting any specific model, we are trying to solve it. Okay. So, problem solving technique is itself a quite difficult and a disturbing technique which can be answered by some questions. Okay. In order to solve a computer generated problem, you need to first implement the strategy involved in it. In a computer system, you implementing a specific strategy solve it. Okay. So see, this is the basic diagram of a problem solving. Here what we are doing at the first stage, we are analyzing the specification. We are analyzing the specification. In the first steps, we are analyzing whatever the specification we have got for the specific problem. Okay. So, here we are doing analysis and specification of a problem. Whatever the answer we got from there, that will be passed to the second stage, where we are developing an algorithm and testing the algorithm for getting the general solution. Here whatever the algorithm we are selecting, that will be generalized itself. So, it can be applicable to all that kind of problems. Okay. Here if any cases we need to again go for the definition or analysis of a specification, then from here the flow can be again go to the analysis and a specification. So, on basis of a algorithm generation, if the changes are required, then the flow will be again go for the analysis and a specification, where we are defining the problem in a precise manner. Okay. After the algorithm is generated for the any specific problem, the code of the algorithm code on the basis of the algorithm is done, and we are testing the algorithm. Okay. So, here it is called the basically an implementation part, where where on basis of the specific algorithm we are converting into the specific code and we are testing that code. Okay. Here in that stage, if we require to doing the changes into the problem specification or need to do and changes into the algorithm, then it will be revised again. Okay. And finally, after the implementation phase, now we have the finalized code that will be maintained time by time. So, it will be used and maintained time by time, and if the changes are required, it will be again analyzed and giving some specification. Okay. Basically, we have need to focus on a 3 problem solving technique in this chapter, that is a trial and error, brainstorming, and a divide and a conquer. Okay. So, let me start with the first one is a trial and error. In a trial and error, as the name suggests, we are trying to finding the error. If not getting error is a final solution, then we are getting it as a finals. Okay. So, here when you are having the multiple number of solution available with you for the specific problem, then you can go for the trial and error. Just try that. If it is a feasible final solution, accept it, otherwise go for the next one. Okay. So, this is the basic strategy in a trial and error. Here what it will do, a person will get the adequate knowledge while applying if and but situation. Here, as I told you, we are having the multiple solution, we are applying if this is a final solution, yes or no, that we are identifying, and will wait till he gets a required solution through various approximation onto a specific solution. Okay. There are certain scenarios where there appear several options, which becomes difficult at the same time to meet with the best. We are having the multiple options, but we have need to find the best among that options. Okay. If you want to go from Ahmedabad to Baroda, we are having the multiple option to go for the Ahmedabad. Either we can go by walk, we can go by bus, we can go by car, we can go by rickshaw, we can go on a motorcycle, we can go on a plane. But on basis of our current situation or on our need, we have need to identify the best one, right. So, this is where a trial and error is used, where we are having a multiple option, we have need to select the best one among that solution. Okay. This method is basically useful in solving the mechanical or engineering problem where we have the multiple options, right. The second method is a brainstorming. Brain, as the name suggests, brainstorming, the experience we are using of the people to getting the solution. So, what we are basically doing in a brainstorming, to obtaining the creative solution related to problem, creative solution based on experience of the people. Okay. So this is required when you intend to break out decade by standard way of thinking in order to develop the current ideas. By standard ways you wanted to use their ideas and want to solve the problem. If such tool is applied in a team, as I told you, if a multiple people will be included, it will increase the richness of idea by getting the better solution to problem. Here we are using the experience of the multiple people for the specific problem, and we are trying to use their experience to solve the problem. Okay, as we are including the multiple people, we will get the very better idea and we can find the very better solution. Brainstorming shows a relaxed environment where all it is encouraged to contribute. All have need to encourage their way of thinking to solve any specific problem. They are not binded with any specific rules or anything. They have need to put their idea, whatever they feel, to solve this specific problem. The phases of brainstorming: to understanding and defining the problem, generating the idea about the problem, and after getting this all the idea, we are finding and defining the acting on based solution. Among that all the idea, what the best one that we have need to select. Okay. So, in understanding and defining problem phase, the steps are: locate the goal, wishes or challenges for this solution. Step to collect the relevant data related with the problem, whatever the inputs we required to get the specific output that we are getting, and we are clarifying the problem which is required to be solved to meet the goal. So, here in the defining mode, we are just precisely defining what are the problems, what are the data required for the problem solution, and that we are collecting. Okay. The second phase is we are generating the ideas about the problem. So, we are find out the ways or ideas about the problem to be solved from various perspectives. We are just getting the ideas to solve the specific problem from the various options, right. So, finding, and finally we are finding, defining, acting on based solution. Here in a what we are doing, we are implement the collected idea. All the ideas given by the team will be implemented and decide the planning action to be performed. How the specific solution will be idea will be performed, that we are defining. Okay. So, in a brainstorming, it resolves the situation when you stuck with a problem and not able to reach to any goal. So, when you are not finding the specific solution, in that cases you can use this technique to getting the experience based way to solve the specific problem. Here brainstorming is reached to conclusive option when many multiple options are present. Select the correct steps to be taken if priorities are not clear. It will if your priorities are not defined, in that cases it will always select the correct steps. Brainstorming is used to detect the relationship among different activities in a problem, and it is always find a creative approach or a idea. Manifest the conflicts among thoughts, activities related to a problem. Whatever the peoples are included into the system, we are getting their ideas, and whatever the conflicts arise, that can be solved by their ideas, okay, and reach to find concluding decision. We can reach the conclusion. The basic steps in a brainstorming are: planning a session. We are planning a session to find the solution. You need to plan a brainstorming session with a required problem. Prepare a structure. Write down the problems with the help of chart and describe what is asked in a question. You are defining the questions. Discuss and focus on a problem solution. Here we are discussing, in this the questions are discussed with related solution option. Concentrate on idea which are evaluated first. We are giving the priorities to the ideas that should be evaluated first. Focus on a priorities. We are focusing on a priority. So, we are solving of a problem will require certain steps which come first. So, initially set the priority of solving the question. Always for solving the specific problem, we are having the root and that route we are deciding, okay, and finalize the solution. Once you get the multiple option, now you have to select the correct one by judging it pros and cons. Okay. The final method we are using is a divide and a conquer. As the name suggests, it have the divide, recur and conquer. Okay. So, in a divide phase what we are doing, if the problem is very big and very hard to solve, it gets divided into the several smaller cases, and that will be similar in a size. After that we are going for the recur phase, in which it will solve the sub problems part recursively. Okay. So, and finally, if you get a solution of a smaller individual problems, no, if you get the solution, then you can use such solution to get the combined solution of a whole problem. The whole problem will be divided into the smaller problems. Each problem will be divided problem will be solved, and we are combining the final solution. Okay. So, here the bigger problem will be divided into the smaller problem, and it will be get the solution, and final solution will be combined. Okay. The basic advantages of this system is it is applied to calculate the theoretical and complicated problems. It led to professional algorithm. It is employed in multiprocessors machines. It will result in algorithm which correctly uses memory cache. Okay. So, basically divide and conquer is very advantageous. The basic limitation of the divide and conquer is this is the recursion process which makes it a slower. As we saw, okay, recursion process is always a slower. It makes the simple problem hard by applying iteration approach such as adding of a number, n number etc. Okay, multiple problems we are dividing the bigger problem into the smaller problem. So, it's sometimes making it quite tougher, yet quite problematic. Okay. So, larger problem is divided into the smaller one, and finally, whatever the solution we are getting, that will be combined to the final solution. The steps into this are the use a hammer and strike this on this stone, divide the whole problem into the multiple problems. Next step, if you get the required stone piece, then you are done. If there is still a big piece, then you have to repeat the first step. If the problem is divided into the multiple problem, you are selecting this any one individual problem. If it is still a bigger one, then divide it again. Okay. So, again and again you need to repeat the first step till you are not finding the finalized solution. Okay. So, if the problem is small enough to be solved, then you should get the solution at once. Otherwise, if it is not a small, then use the small problem solution to obtain the solution of a larger problem. If the problem is very small, then we don't have need to divide it. But if it is the problem is a quite bigger one, divide it into a smaller problem. Okay. So, these are the various techniques for the problem solving that we can apply to solve any problem. Okay. So, in the next lecture, we will discuss the algorithm and flowchart that we are using for drawing the any problem solution. Thank you very much.